Have you ever felt like a failure not staying consistent with your content online? This might be the most freeing video you ever watch this entire year, so stay tuned. Branding Beyond Business here. That is the show where we talk about building your brand that grows beyond your business. And some people are like, well, what does that even mean? It's like a catchphrase. It's like, no, it's not. I want to build something that grows beyond your business. It's not just about business. The business is designed for what? To make money, to trade value for sales. That's what a business is designed to do, is to convert value for finances, right? But beyond that, I believe that we're all designed to create impact. Now, impact is a buzzword, and I want to talk to you quickly about what impact means to me. Now, the technological term really about impact is from a science perspective, right? When two objects collide together and their paths, the course of their path changes. Right. So if you're going to be an entrepreneur that is an impact driven person, or just a human being that's very focused on impact driven, right? Your drive is to create impact. What does that mean? That means when you encounter another human being, or if people encounter your content online, it's changing the course of their life. And that could not, it's an agnostic kind of term, because that impact could be negative or that could be positive. Now, you get to choose if you want to create a positive impact or a negative impact when it comes to your brand and how people perceive your brand. So if your brand is a negative brand, meaning like all you do is chirp online and you're a keyboard warrior and you're stirring the pot, you have a negative perceived brand. But if you are trying to create impact that lasts legacies, right? No one's going to remember the people that were negative, right? No one's going to remember like, oh, dude, that person treated me like crap. Like their content made me just feel horrific, right? No one's really going to remember that. They might remember it, but it will put a perceived value on you of negativity. And you don't typically wake up saying, I want to be looked at as a negative person. Actually, I want to be looked at as inspiring and very provocative when it comes to challenging the common belief about my industry. So if you want to make a positive impact where your voice, your message, your story collides with other people, it's going to change the course of the direction of their life, whether that's in business, whether that's in personal finance, whether that's in faith, whatever it is. If you desire to create that positive impact, I consider and I implore you to start living the life of what you'd want to see happen, right? What you want to see in the world, you start living that way. So today we are going to talk about how to build your brand that grows beyond your business when it comes to content systems, because I think a lot of the social media culture talks about consistency and they're like, you build a brand by being consistent. It's like, yeah, I get that. If someone posts 1,000 times this week, they're going to get more views and more awareness than someone that posts once a day. Now, the thing about that people don't talk about is that it's, the prescription to that diagnosis is consistency. Okay. But no one ever talks about the directions that you take, right? So like, here's something that's really personal. Okay. And I'm going to go into this and ties in. Okay. So in the month of December, last year, 2025, we're in February now when this video is being released, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I'm only 38 years old, y'all. And here's the thing. It negatively impacted me. But the thing was, it was my bad habits and terrible lifestyle when it comes to eating, exercising, taking care of my body, stress, all the things of running a business, all the things of people pleasing. I grew up in Asian culture, so my whole identity was wrapped in how to please my parents, how to please my boss, how to please my friends, how to please everybody around me, because I don't want to deal with conflict. And I was just like, yes, what, and that was very stressful and burdensome on me because I didn't know my identity. I didn't know or have a plan of how to live my life. So I took on those burdens and it affected my health. And it was very eye-opening to me when I started feeling fatigue and gaining so much weight. And it happened over time, and I procrastinated and prolonged looking in the mirror and saying, man, where am I at with my health? And this last December, that was very eye-opening. I got a blood test for the first time in years. And I had to actually look at the blood test and be like, this is the results. This is where I'm actually at. And I got to do something or else I'm not going to be around long enough for my kids to grow up and seeing them graduate, fall in love, get married, do all the things that I want, and also be the husband that my wife needed me to be, the leader in this family, the person that brings security, comfort, safety in this family. So I had to face the music. I had to look at the results and be like, if I don't change today, I'm going to not be headed towards the right direction. The trajectory of my life will be shortened and it's not going well. So I had to make a decision of like, okay, cold turkey, I need to change my diet. I need to change the way I look at food. I need to change the way I look at my daily habits and lifestyle. And the thing about that was that I've done that before. I've done diets. I've tried, new year, new me many times. Every single year, I'm like, new year, new me, I'm gonna hit the gym. But the reality was none of that stuff was actually working, because what I had to realize is a part of other than looking at the diagnosis, I had to be like, all right, what's actually happening in my body? And I went to my friends at Music City Health Center, Dr. Courtney and Dr. Justin Mosley. They actually did a stress test with me and the results were off the charts. It was the worst, literally the worst results they've ever seen anyone walk into their practice come about. And I had to figure out why all this other stuff wasn't working for me. The diets, the working out, all the things that I was doing. It was because my nervous system was shot and nothing was going through my system. Nothing, like my liver was shot, my nerves were shot, like everything was shot. I started to grow this thing called neuropathy in my feet, where it's so painful and it feels like needles all the time when I walk. And it was just so painful where I'm like, I got to reverse this. And the beauty of this to me, it was bittersweet. It was eye-opening, the fact that I am now type 2 diabetes, but it is reversible with the right people support around me, but also the right lifestyle and system I put in place. And the thing was, like, anybody could say, oh, you just got to lose weight. You just got to do this. I'm like, okay, that's the prescription. Yes. Losing weight is going to actually help me when it comes to my diabetes and regulating that. But the reality was, what's the daily direction I'm going to take? What are the things that I'm going to put in place? What system am I going to put in place that's going to create those outcomes long term? And for me, this correlates. And I've been able to lose 15 pounds since January 3rd. It's February. At this time, it's the middle of February. So if I continue this system, and the thing is, like, I'm going to feel better. I'm going to have more energy. I'm going to be able to reverse this type 2 diabetes with the help and support of others, but also do my due diligence and be disciplined in my system. So I had to create a system of, how many times I go to the gym every week, and I don't negotiate that. I don't compromise, feeling like I had to wake up and literally the night before I'll put out my pre-workout, I'll put out my gym clothes, because I don't want to have an excuse to not go to the gym that morning. And I have to do it, and I have to pick a time because, I'm a dad, I'm a husband. So like my kids are at home all day and they're rowdy. And like, if I go, to the gym for an hour and a half, it's nearly impossible, to do that. So I had to pick a time. So every morning or every other morning, I hit the gym at like 4:30 in the morning, and I'm there till like 6 a.m. I come home, I spend my time in devotions and preparing myself for the day. And when my kids wake up, I'm able to make them breakfast, get them ready for school or for the day, to help support my wife in the morning routines that we have. And I had to create a system. And then I had to create an eating system too, of like, all right, what am I going to eat every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? I had to pre-plan those things and create a system so that I could stay on track and on point, so I don't compromise and I know exactly what I'm doing every single day. The same thing goes when it's being consistent online with your social media presence and building your brand. You need a system that fits your lifestyle and makes sense for you. And a lot of these social media marketers, these gurus, will tell you need to be consistent. You need to do X, Y, and Z all day long. But the thing is, like, you can't copy paste what they do because they have teams to do it, right? These successful entrepreneurs that are actually pumping out content, they actually invest in a team to do it for them. They have videographers, they have shredders, they have editors, they have social media managers on their team, and they've already successfully implemented those content systems for them, where they're like, okay, every single Monday, I'm going to knock out 4 episodes and we're going to do some B-roll content and we're going to do this, that. That is their system that they put in place. And that's what makes them so successful, that they rarely ever talk about. right? And they never really talk about the pre-production that goes into that. So it's the scripts, the topics, the hooks, all those things, the content ideas that they have that helps them get more viewership and retention and possibly even go viral online where they gain millions of views. They never, ever really talk about that. They just tell you the diagnosis is you got to make more content. And the prescription is like, be consistent. So today in this episode, we're going to talk about building a content system that makes sense for you, because you can't just, you could copy and paste what they're doing, but it's not going to feel authentic to you. And it's not probably going to fit in your day-to-day business of when it comes to your schedule and timeline, right? So we're going to discuss that today. And I hope this is super valuable for you. And thanks again for watching here at Branding Beyond Business. And we're going to be setting up this episode or these episodes or the future of this YouTube channel to do interviews in the future. And I'm going to get a lot of other help, a lot of other voices. We're going to have very awesome conversations from a creative director standpoint, but also to help you build a brand that grows beyond your business. Let me ask you this. Are you killing yourself to stay consistent? Is it beating you up? Is it making you stressed out? Is it frustrating you that you can't stay consistent? Just like me going to the gym or saying new year, new me, by month 2 of going to the gym, you quit because there's no motivation, there's no drive, and you'd be like, you got to be disciplined, you got to be disciplined. But most importantly, you have to have a system in place to be disciplined so that you set yourself up for success. Does that make sense? I hope it does, because if you could implement a content system, your brand's going to grow and it's going to grow beyond your business. Okay. So I'm going to implore you to reframe the thought about being consistent. You don't need to be consistent. You need a better content system. Okay. Now, if you're in the entrepreneur space, maybe you're in real estate, maybe you have a product or service, or maybe you do something, right? You got to build something around you that makes sense for your lifestyle, your time frame, your timeline, your day-to-day activities, right? And you got to actually set aside time to make content. And that's the most important key. Setting up a day for content creation is really going to be key for growing your brand online and making that impact that you desire to make. But also, it's going to help you generate more awareness to your brand and create a magnetic brand where people actually come to you because you're being authentic. You have a consistent reputation and you have talking points that you talk about that points back to who you are, your core offer, what your business is. So having a content system in place, like for me, for example, every single Monday, I focus on developing a couple episodes of Branding Beyond Business, and I call this batch recording. So I have my whole setup here where I could just turn these cameras on, turn the mics on, hit record, and deliver content to you, whether that's educational, inspirational, whatever that is, to help you grow your brand. And that's my content system. So I'll set aside a couple hours on Monday, but before Monday comes, I like to write topics ahead of time because I do a weekly newsletter called Creative Direction Weekly. So subscribe to that if you haven't. Go to brandingbeyondbusiness.com, shameless plug. But if you need creative direction every single week, I sit here and I take my videos and I take the topics and I write them into newsletters, and I actually write them down because that's my best form of creating content. We're going to talk about that in today's episode, about your best form of creating content. A lot of people don't like being on video. They're shy or they're not confident on camera. When the camera turns on, they're just like, I completely emptied my brain. I have no idea what I'm doing. What do I do with my hands? I look silly. Maybe they're insecure about how they look because they haven't hit the gym in a while. All these things are so valid, by the way, to feel confident on camera. So a lot of people don't like doing video because they hate hearing themselves. They hate seeing themselves. And that's totally logical, right? To do that. Sometimes maybe you're a better writer. Maybe you're a better audio person. Maybe you just like talking to, maybe you like capturing your voice and you like talking through your ideas. Maybe you like writing your ideas down. So like writing a blog would be a better form of communication for you. But I would I would implore you to actually get better on camera, get more confident, because video is how people can, they see your body language, they see how you actually act, and they could tell the authenticity when you come off on camera. So it takes years and years and years of practice, and I'm not going to sugarcoat that. It's taken me so many years to get in front of the camera because I spent 20 years behind the camera, and I love directing. I'm a creative director, and that's what I've been doing for such a long time. So getting in front of the camera actually scares the heck out of me. Number one, because I'm so cautious about the way I look. I'm not there yet. But you know what? I had to get over that fact because I know my design, the way I'm designed is to help people, and I can't help people if I'm not sharing my perspective or message with them. So that's really, really important. I'm going to, number one, talk about the problem that I see, and then we're going to go into the rest of this video. So the problem that I see is that gurus and social media marketers, like I said earlier, talk about being consistent. All you got to do is upload 50,000 videos and pieces of content a day because the algorithm, everything is algorithm based, meaning it's interest based, right? So social media has changed from being social, conversational, to now interest based. So it's really important, they say, to post multiple times a day, but who has time to do that? You're a busy entrepreneur. You got kids to take care of. You got a family to take care of. You got a business to run. You got people to manage. You got meetings. You got coaching calls. You got all the things that you're doing, all the millions of things that you're doing. So how the heck does this fit in to your current lifestyle and system? These gurus are like, well, you just got to do it and buckle down and just, man up, woman up and make content. It's like, yeah, okay, cool. But how? Like on my iPhone, on my camera, do I got to buy all this expensive gear? Like, how do I do this? And this is the question that I get all the time. John, like, how the heck do I make content? And can I just hire you? And I'm like, man, I'm pretty pricey if you're going to hire me. That's just being honest. But if you just get a simple setup, a camera or something, I like using a camera, like a professional camera. And I don't have one here. Obviously, I'm using them. But you could buy a camera professional with a lens and audio for under $1,000, $1,500. That's a small investment to actually make content on a daily basis where you feel confident, where you actually batch content once a week and you'll have content for the rest of the week. And every week you could do that and build that muscle just like you go into the gym, right? That creative muscle you need to build out. So I think it's a small investment, but here's the thing, like you don't have to. So the problem with using your phone personally, which I believe iPhones, they've gotten so far, like, when it comes to quality audio and video, it's so great. But the thing is, like, I hate having content on my phone because I run out of storage all the time. I'm shooting in 4K and the storage aspect of it, it's just not easy to use, for me, right? For you, it might be different. You might, get a little phone tripod and pop it up and do it, and you're totally fine because you got so much storage on your phone, whatever. I prefer having an outside source, an external source like a camera, right? Where I could actually use an SD card that has like a terabyte worth of storage. I could film all the content I want and I could take it out, put it in my computer, send it to my team, or do it myself, edit myself, all the things. And it's just a lot easier when it comes to that because I don't have to also like film on my phone and then I get a notification and I'm scrolling through Instagram. 2 hours later, I'm down TikTok rabbit hole and I'm just so distracted, and that's part of my ADHD that comes in. But the idea here is like dedicating time to create content, but also pre-production. What am I going to talk about this week? What kind of core topic am I going to talk about? And I implore you to choose one topic a week. That's 52 topics in a year. That's super easy to do. You could have one topic and talk about it with 7 different angles, right? If you're talking about weight loss, talk about it, 7 different ways, right? This week, I could talk about how I lost 15 pounds in the past month and a half, right? And I could talk about it in 7 different ways. I could talk about from my eating habits. I could talk about it from my workout routine. I could talk about it in a micro level, my macros. I could talk about it in so many different ways, motivation, support, people that, surrounded me to help me stay on track. I could talk about my diary or like my journal that I have every day where I'm like, okay, this is what I ate today. This is what I did for my workouts today. There's so many different ways you could talk about that one topic, and now just pick 52 of those that is surrounded with who you are as a human being. If it's regarding your business, like there's so many different layers of running a business that people don't really talk about, how they manage their time, how they talk about manage their taxes, how they talk about sales, how they talk about managing a team. There's so many different angles that you could talk about running your business that would make sense. You could create 52 topics, hit 7 different angles on every single topic, and create a system that makes sense for you. Right. So that's the problem that I see is people say you just do it, but they don't actually give you the plan to do it. They don't give you direction to do it. Number 2 is this thing that I call, all right, well, what's the shift? What happened with me in December? A shift happened. I had to actually see on paper what was going on with my body, what was going on with my blood results, what was going on with my nervous system. And that was a big wake up call for me. And it was very emotional for me. Like I broke down a few times just thinking about like how far I've come in the wrong direction. So I had to recorrect my direction of where I was going and what I wanted to do with not just my business, but my personal life, my health. And I had to make some really strategic and intentional decisions about that. Looking at this coming year, 2026, the travel that I have, whenever I go traveling, it's like the worst thing. I'm on a plane, I'm elevated, and my stress levels are high, and I don't really get to eat the way I choose to eat. So I had to plan my trips and plan what I'm going to do and how I de-stress from those trips. And I had to make decisions whether or not I'm going to do something or not, right? And a requirement for me, like I was like, these are some non-negotiables, right? Working out, eating healthy, decompressing, going in my room, stretching, going to work out in the morning. Those are non-negotiables whenever I travel. So the shift for me was super huge. I needed to build a system around me that made sense to my day-to-day lifestyle. And that's something that I want you to think about. What system are you building, knowing that you have to make content this year, right? You have to bring awareness. You have to do all these things because it's a non-negotiable today. If you're building a business, people want to trust you. They want to know you. They want to like you. Do you have a likability factor? That's really huge that no one talks about is, do people actually like you? Do they like doing business with you? How do you communicate? And the best way to build confidence is by putting in the work and actually doing it. The first video is going to be your worst video, right? Everything that you do for the first time is going to be the worst you'll ever be ever. So if you keep on practicing writing, if you keep on practicing showing up on camera and going live or doing whatever, you're just going to get way, way, way better every single day. You're going to be better than you were yesterday. All right, so at that point, you need a content system. So we're going to talk about the 3 questions that I have for you so that you could build a better content system that makes sense, okay? So, all right, so my first question for you is, when do you actually have time to create content? So take an audit of your day-to-day. What day do you usually have available? But look at your time frame, okay? And ask yourself, when do I actually have time to make content? And I would recommend not just setting your camera up and hitting record. I would actually advise you to take a little time to write out what you're going to talk about. What topic, one big idea that you're going to talk about 7 different ways for this week. All right, so that's number 1. Number 2 is, what format feels natural to you? Is it writing? Is it video? Is it audio? Ask yourself, what do you like to do most so that feels more natural, more authentic? Now, you could take a blog, you could write a newsletter, you could take some notes down and convert those things into audio or video format by just reading it. You could get a teleprompter and put your notes up. You could write bullet points like I do. I talk best with bullet points. Just give me an idea. I could talk about it for hours and hours and hours. So ask yourself, what's the best format for you to make content? And then translate that into different ways. Number 3, the third question is, how can you create once and upload all the time, right? What can you do to show up everywhere, but create once and use that for clipping, for content all over the place? So I like to use this hub and spoke model of, what am I focusing on? I'm focusing on every single week creating a YouTube video, 1 episode every single week. And from that episode, I could clip the content, or I could talk about it 7 different ways from that one big idea, right? So that's how I create consistent content over time. And I'm creating one format, and I'm doing it once and recording it one time. And in the episode, I'm also including hooks and other things from that episode that's not going to belong in the episode, but it might belong on social media. Maybe it is a mic drop, or maybe it is an aha moment. But I want to think about like how I utilize that one time recording where I'm going to record a long form piece of content and then clip it up for social media so that it makes sense. And lastly, what I want to talk about in closing with this video is a system beats willpower. Okay. That is my last take here. And if you create a system that makes sense, it actually beats motivation. It beats willpower, because sometimes I wake up and I don't feel like doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing. So if you have a system in place where it's non-negotiable, you're like, dude, Mondays, I film long form pieces of content that's going to last all week long, all month long, and I can repurpose that over and over and over again, right? So that system is actually going to beat your willpower of what you want to do today. And if you have a team, all you got to do is create it once, send it to your team and be like, hey, chop this up, make it look, saucy is what I would say. Put the sauce on these edits, create the hooks, take dialogue and reshape it. It doesn't have to be linear. And I think a lot of people get that mistaken of like, well, I recorded this linear. Yeah, but this would actually feel better as a hook. And then you put that hook in the front for that 3 seconds to capture, the attention and increase the retention by delivering the content in between. And you could add a call to action like, hey, go ahead and subscribe, like, share, comment, whatever at the back end, or go to my website, Branding Beyond Business, to jump on my newsletter that I send out every single week that is not AI generated. I actually write the content to help you grow, build your brand that grows beyond your business. And I'll say that as a call to action, and you'll be surprised how many people will take action on that. But if you're consistent over time, you could let people know that's how you do business, right? That's how you grow your brand. So I hope that this information was helpful. I hope this episode gave you a little clarity of how to be consistent over time, and understand it's not just about being consistent. It's about your input. It's about creating a system that makes sense for your lifestyle so that you could go and actually crush it online, that you could post everywhere, that you could repurpose your content and all those things. So again, if you like this, if it brought value to you, leave a comment below, like, share, subscribe to the channel. And if you want creative direction every single week directly to your inbox every single Monday, check out brandingbeyondbusiness.com and sign up for our newsletter. And I will see you in the next video. Boom, bam.